morning, everyone, and welcome to day 40, the final talking horses of the Saratoga 2022 meet. He's Anthony Stabile. I'm Andy Serling. I know the stretch is a little late getting out today. We will give them, however, as we go along on the show. And we do have a lot to talk about, closing day or not. Sorry, a little bit of rain right now. We're on the turf. We're fast and firm as it is. We could certainly use a little rain, and hopefully we'll get most of the turf races in. But we'll see how things play out as they go along, and we'll try to give you some dirt ideas as well. Head over to NYRA Bets, your last time that we'll tell you this while we're in Saratoga. It won't be Toga 200 in a couple of weeks when we head down to Belmont at Aqueduct. Use the promo code TOGA200. We'll match for $200 of your initial deposit. We also have the bankroll builder, 50 to win the hopeful. You get 20 for the bankroll at Big A. We have 10 times points at Yonkers going on today. Yonkers downstate. What else do we have, guys? Forgot to go through this with you. We have 2 to 7 on FS2. We'll be on the NYRA YouTube channel for the 12:30 to 2 o'clock portion of the show, so you can catch that on NYRA YouTube. Race 1, fairly confident race 1 will be on the turf. We really haven't had that much rain at this point.
At this point, we haven't.
Get kind of heavier a little bit later. Maybe even get heavier after the day's gone or after the turf races, because the last 3 races are actually on the dirt. And, hey, the hopeful's only 7 hours away, so there's that. Race number 1, we are on the turf. What did you do here, Anthony?
A little push on the 10 Luna Song from the Brad Cox barn. Dan was 3 for 12 overall, over 2 on the grass. So this was debuting on the turf. We'll see. Like I said, I got a little push here. Wasn't in love with anything else, so I put the tip on top.
Okay, tip on the 10. Brad Cox, 4 for 29, 14%, 94-cent ROI with 2-year-old first-time starters in turf sprints over the last 5 years. The number 5, Atomic Girl, for J.K. Sweezy. The dam was 6 for 27, hit the board in 16 of those starts, 84 buyer, $175,000. 0 for 2 with the turf, however. But the sires really weren't that good. Made Majestic City move up a city zip. I'm hoping for this one. I imagine there's jockey chains that don't know if Joel's here, don't really know who's here today with this silly Kentucky Downs situation. The number 9, Camp Aquila, interests me a great deal as well. Almost put this one on top. Obviously, my picks in this race, by the way, are 5, 9, 1, 6. Apologize, that's my fault. I did not tell the crew to fix that. 5, 9, 1, 6. The also eligibles, 11 on down, all are scratched. 1 through 10 get in. 11 through 16 are out of this race. The number 9, Camp Aquila, for Tom Amos. The dam was 1 for 4 in the turf. She drew 7 horses, though, to try the turf, and 4 of them won. They were okay. This horse got bet strongly in the debut. Obviously did no running, but this might be the right surface. 5 and 9 are the 2 that I want in this race, and I'm going to lean heavily on those horses. Had Lita Price's Carapara, a factor, and the factors were pretty good in the turf, though not a lot of pedigree. And Linda, 2-year-old first-time stars in turf sprints, just 1 for 17. Race number 2. What are we doing in race number 2? What'd you do, Ant?
I went to Uncle Marty. Okay. Second time Linda Rice, cutting back from a turf route to a dirt sprint. I know there's a chance this horse cannot run 2 steps on the main track. But we'll see. We'll find out here. Another race full of some firsters and a couple of horses who have run. Blame It on Daddy ran well enough, I guess, out of the Donegal Surges race. Made up some ground late in the game. Tommy Elba trying to get off the duck the other day with Sail By. Yeah, I went to Linda. She's going to be a decent enough price, too. He is going to be a decent enough price.
Take a look at the replay that Mr. Marlin and Blame It on Daddy come out of. Things are a little skewed up here. I actually thought Mr. Marlin was the more interesting of the 2. Kind of like it just sort of plummeted to the back in the early running and not really sure what happened. And I would argue that maybe it's just sort of where the point of calls were in the chart comment. But
oh, that makes sense.
But this horse was farther back than that and kind of figured it out late. And I just felt like this horse, I know, didn't take any money first time. And this is a race that fell apart. So maybe both this horse and Blame It on Daddy were flattered by the dynamics. And I can see your idea with the 3 Uncle Morty. I didn't see any first-time stars that jumped off the page at me. Bruce Levine with a 5 Atlanta Zacuna. The dam was pretty good. She's had a little bit of production at Atlanta Zacuna. And Bruce had 2 first-time stars win at this meet.
Yeah. No, Bruce's the firsters have fired for him, and yeah, I mean this horse. I think you gotta give this horse another look. No question about it.
I want to use the 7 Impressor as well, because even though the horse didn't do any running essentially late in the race and didn't even take a ton of money in there, this horse was pressing the pace first time out for Steve Asmussen, and that pace fell apart. So I'll use that one as well.
I got him in there in the mix as well.
Race number 3 is the Bernard Baruch, mile 16th on the turf. Fairly confident we'll be on the turf for this race. And we'll take a look to start it out with City Man, who won the Forbidden Apple. Things didn't work out. They didn't run in the Grade 1, a race they had a good chance to have won that race based on this performance. West Point got rained off the turf, so they'll settle for the once extremely high regarded Bernard Baruch. And listen, if this horse runs back to this race, Anthony, mile and 16th, this horse is going to win.
No question about it. Yeah, it doesn't really matter. He was sitting on a race and he exploded here. Big price this day as well. He kind of he was having a little bit of a rough run of it. The 2 prior starts, he didn't really, the Kingston didn't really have the cleanest of trips, obviously, but he came up, that was the biggest effort by far in his career last time. And now he, like you said, not entering the 4-star Dave, the West Point coming off the grass, he has almost 7 weeks to come back to that performance.
Do want to backtrack a second. In the second race today, the number 9, Eternal Glory, is scratched. So the 11 through 16 in the first, and the 9, Eternal Glory, is scratched. You know what? I'm going to read the scratches to everybody so they can have them, okay? The third race is clean. The Baruch will continue with the conversation. Race number 4, the 1, 4, and 14 are scratched. I'm not giving you names. Race 4, 1, 4, 14, and yes, I will tweet this out momentarily. Race number 5, the plain 1 is scratched. Race number 6, the 8 is scratched. Race number 7, the 1 and 9 are scratched. Race number 8, the 10 is scratched. Race 9, 13, and 14, holding the MTOs as of now. The rest are all in the dirt. The 10th and 11th are clean. And in race number 12, the 3, 8, and 9 are scratched. There are a lot of jockey changes. If you follow me on Twitter, you can see them, as I will send that out right now. But we're not going to go through all of that. Johnny I will give all that information after the Talking Horses is over. Apologize for these things being late. Doing the best we can around here. It is day 40, and it is kind of lousy weather. Anyway, I think we're both going to try to beat him, though I respect him a great deal with Moulage, a Chad Brown runner who thought ran very well down at Gulfstream and lost a horse in Mirror Mission who's turned into one of the better turf horses in the country right now. We'll take a look at that race from back in March. Chad Brown has exceptional numbers off of long layoffs on the turf. Moulage probably, as it turned out, I don't blame Irad, and it's not like there was a bad ride. It just seemed to be that the last move got it done, or maybe just lost to a better horse in Mirror Mission.
I don't know if he lost to a better horse, but he lost to a horse that's turned into a really nice horse. So you might be right. He might have lost to a better horse, but this is a fantastic effort. First start off the plane into the country, and yeah, I guess off the last performance, City Man is supposed to be the morning line favorite, but I got a funny feeling they're going to send it in on this guy.
Well, there is a story that Barn really likes the horse, which you obviously know as well. The number 3 Dynadrive got the job done for Tom Morley, who's had an absolutely terrific meet with a relatively limited number of starters. And this was a terrific ride by Eric Cancel to get the job done. But it was a race where the pace completely collapsed. And it's hard to imagine that scenario existing. I mean, Tom Morley loves this race. He won it last year. But he also won it wire to wire. And in this race, he's got a big closer in here in Dynadrive who's not letting against circumstances. Now, Ocala Dream will be close to the pace. And Ocala Dream, much as I like him, and I've tried him in his last start, he has not come back to that big effort. Dynadrive's in great form, but the going may be tougher, and the dynamics don't favor this runner. In fact, I prefer Ocala Dream of the 2 horses from Tom's barn in here, and I've got Ocala Dream third. I still believe. Tom, I still believe.
This horse's last 2 races, I couldn't ignore him in here, so I put him third. They've just been really good. I don't disagree. He's up against it here. I would imagine that the returnee for Todd Pletcher, the 4 Winters back, is going to set the pace in here, come back fresh from a year-plus layoff. Nobody else in here really too intense. City Man has been forward in his career, but I would imagine Winters back goes to the lead, and I can't imagine it's going to be a very fast pace. That hurts Dynadrive, but his 2 races for Tom off that little bit of a break, whatever was a miss, Tom seems to have gotten him straight, and he's been dynamite in his last 2.
Yeah, his last race wouldn't win this race, unfortunately, and things really got a great ride and a great setup. Race number 4, the 1 and 4 are scratched on the turf. The number 14, who I would have liked to this race been on the dirt and get some dirt picks out there in case they come off. The 3 crowding out on the drop down is going to be just an overwhelming favorite in here, and we'll take a look at her breaking her maiden. Now, she did not run well last time, to say the least. She also got an absolutely perfect trip. I mean, this ride by Irad Ortiz is the kind of ride. It was just a thing of beauty. Everything worked out. Now, she did beat a horse, and Mrs. Green, who came back with a huge effort in her next start. It's a perfect trip or not. She beat a good horse, but then she ran lousy, and that was second off a long layoff, and now she drops precipitously. These horses have a way of winning for Chad Brown, and the other thing is, she has found a race where it is extraordinarily hard to make a case for anybody else. It's so hard for me to make a case for anybody else that I put a maiden second, getting on the turf for the first time for Carlos Martin, and Mostly Harmless. Crowding Out might lose this race. She's not going to be even money, but she's only going to lose because she doesn't show up. If she shows up with any semblance of her good races, she will win.
And I'll tell you what, with the scratch of Unlock from the MTOs on dirt, she has one dirt race last summer up here, a 74 speed figure that would probably put her right in a winner's circle today.
Yeah, she'll be a heavy favorite on the dirt. I picked Unlock if this race been the dirt. People wonder, why would they scratch her? Well, she's down in New York now, and it's very hard to shift horses
on
up.
the come. Yeah.
I mean, because it's the closing day, and I think there's a very good chance we'll still be on the turf for this race. The heavier rain's not supposed to come until much later, so we'll hope we're on the grass. So I'm going to go 3-13, 12-8 if this race is on the dirt. What did you do if it was on the dirt?
My dirt selections are 3-13-2. I didn't have the fourth one.
All right. I don't really, do you have any other thoughts here? I mean, I
None.
wanted to make a
Zero.
case for Silken Dollar, who, other than beating by a nose when I bet Sinfully Sweet at 7-1 in the race, she hasn't done any running.
No.
I mean, maybe she'll run better here, but I'm dropping down, and she does have the one race. She's the one horse that feels like she could be somewhat in there. That's race number
Maybe.
4
Yeah.
in race number 5. You've got her third, I've got her fourth.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what horse is funny on the turf. There's some turf pedigree for My Delicious. What has taken this horse so long to get on the turf?
Good question.
Race number 5.
Mandatory pick 5 here. Bonus pick 5. It's the last one of the meet. The last bonus pick 5 of the meet. They're all mandatory today, by the way.
They're all winners. Yes, they're all mandatory. Thank you for that, Anthony. Yes, of course, last day of the meet. There can be no carryovers. Race number 5. I just went to the obvious horse, Backyard Money, in here. I mean, for Wayne Lucas. By the way, Wayne's having a terrific meet. A couple winners
Really
yesterday.
has.
I made the biggest blunder I've made this week, not having that exacta when I had Athwalk. Wayne's horse should have been co-favored in that race, was 7-1 somehow, and not having that exacta is an embarrassment on my part. $93 exacta. That was a problem. Anyway, I don't know. I just think this is the win over Liquidity Provider, who ran fine to run third in her next start. A very tough maiden race. She ran well last time to a runoff for Dale Romans. I don't see any reason I'm supposed to bet against this horse.
Yeah, I used 4s, and I put the 4. She caught my eye on top first time. Mott
We'll
last
show
time.
her last race in a moment.
Okay, yeah. No, she did nothing wrong. She gets Lasix for the first time today. Does Backyard Money.
I just think she's the best horse in the
Yeah,
race.
she might be.
There's caught my eye. I understand she caught my eye is not impossible. I put her second, but this was a pitiful bunch that she beat last time, including
was.
Mostly Harmless, the horse
It
that
was.
I have second on the turf in the 4th race.
Yeah, it was. I put the bigger price on top. 4s and 6s
Or Bill
for
Mott.
me as well. Or Bill Mott.
I mean, you haven't shown Bill enough love lately. I get it. I just, I looked at this horse. Maybe she'll win, and it's not like she didn't run well enough to be effective here. But I think that Wayne's horse is better, and I don't really know where else to go. I mean, I guess Aiden Ike's not impossible, and Matt Shearer has been sharp off the claim. I probably should have put that horse second, to be honest with you, because I'm not a big fan of the 4. And he's better, and it was a good claim. He claiming from a trainer, Bonnie Lucas, who had taken those Wayne Potts horses that ran out of their skin earlier this year, and that barn is just nosedived. And so maybe this horse can move up off the claim. She does have that good effort, which she was with Steve Asmussen from a buyer speed figure standpoint.
Yeah.
2 races back.
Got a 3rd also.
Race number 6. Did I miss any scratches?
I don't think so.
Yes, in the 5th race, the 1, Spooky Road is out.
Right, okay.
We gave the scratches, though.
You
And
gave them all.
I know. Race number 6, the 8-horse Tale of McKenna is out.
Tales of Pat McKenna's not
Tales
running
of Pat
today.
McKenna is out. Race number 6. So we both have the same horse here. Let's take a look at what Love looks like, and Waterville running second and third, and you can talk about why you liked Waterville.
Rider change to Luis Saez in here. I don't know. This horse never really had a chance to save any ground last time out, and was the first start off the April break. There's a big price in here. I thought this race could turn out to be okay. I thought the other filly, just okay as not just okay as the other filly had a little bit of an easier run of things, and I don't know. I thought they were. I thought I wanted Waterville out of there.
Waterville was 3 wide in the first turn, 2, 3, 4 wide in the second turn, where What Love's Like was 2 wide in the first turn, rail before angling out in the stretch, and this was when the rails were down. And so What Love Looks Like had a much softer trip the way the track was playing, and as you said, Waterville's second off the layup, and she's coming off that wider trip, and you want the wide trip horses off of there. I don't really want What Love's Look Like, so it's not impossible. We'll take a look at the other turf race, the New Guinea Russia race. And I want no part of New Guinea. She just gets one perfect trip after another. Now, in her favor, she draws the rail again, so maybe she'll work out another one in here. Russia. This was probably not one of Irad Ortiz's best rides.
No.
And, you know, this is one that if Irad looks at, probably says, I'd like to have that one back, or maybe have another winner in my cat. Not that he hasn't had a good meet. And I think it's interesting because Irad had, you know, won a lot of races early and had a fabulous meet. But I really think he started riding a lot better 2 to 3 weeks into the meet. Now, he may not agree with me, and that's fine, but I think he's been spectacular lately. He really has.
He really
He's been
has.
absolutely terrific in every way lately. And I think a lot of people, his ROI was low early. You know, he's getting a lot of a lot of live mounts, and justifiably so. But he has really picked it up, and this is one watching it. Best trips. I'm just not a big fan of this horse.
No, I don't. I don't disagree.
Yeah, I'm not. I don't know.
Yeah, it's an entry, and yeah.
But I thought she ran okay in that race. The horse that interests me in here would be a horse that I would be interested in the dirt as well, is the 5 You Guys Are No Fun. This horse is actually, the dam was 2 for 4 in the turf. She ran a 95 buyer in the turf, 89 on the dirt, 3 for 3 her production on the turf. Now, I know it's an F and X, but I don't think they were particularly strong turf sires, and this horse is pretty good. And I guess, you know, she was good enough to run in dirt races and running at Finger Lakes. It's almost like they never thought to run this horse in the turf. And this is a great spot for
Weird,
Jeremiah
right?
because it could get rained off, in which case she's a major player on the dirt. And I think she's a very interesting, but I'll tell you something, there are no killers in here. Horses are just okay.
I think Russell Cohen tried to name. I think this is the filly he tried to name 7 times. And finally, he just came up with You Guys Are No Fun.
Is that really true?
Yeah, something like that.
Well, he got away with the name of the sire, and that's a miracle.
He did.
On the dirt, however, I had not picked this horse on top. It'll be a mile on the dirt. I picked the race 12-13-5-3. I just thought the 5 had burned enough money on the dirt, and I thought...
Same exact numbers for me, 12-13-5-3.
All right, that would be if it comes off and it ends up on the dirt, but hopefully we'll still be on the turf. Still have 1 or 2 of those races left before we're done. Take a break. We'll be back with the late pick 6.
For almost 150 years, the Saratoga name has been synonymous with the finest quality, sustainably sourced spring water available anywhere. Saratoga carries on the rich tradition of its forefathers by crafting each stunning blue glass bottle with the same attention to detail and care that has been its hallmark for generations. Visit SaratogaSpringwater.com today or ask for us by name at your local market or restaurant. Saratoga Spring Water. Make every day exquisite.
Hey guys, we're back. I'm Andy. He is Anthony as we hit day number 40. It's very quiet here at Saratoga. Right now the weather's not awful, but obviously tough to have this kind of weather in closing day. Though it's funny, Anthony, in some ways it's a little easier to leave Saratoga when closing day is rainy. It's hard to leave on a beautiful day because it's hard to leave, but you know, it is what it is, and we have been extremely fortunate with the weather. And what are you going to do? Somebody's going to rain the last day, and today it rained on the last day.
We didn't have one breakfast cancellation. That hardly ever happens.
How was breakfast today? Or not here?
No, closing day we don't have. Closing day we don't have breakfast. It was a great season. Thank you for everybody who came out and supported the program.
Race number 7, scratches are the 1, who I picked on top. Barclay Tag obviously saw my selections and said we better get out of here. Saratoga probably behind him. And the 9-1, a winner, who I picked, I think, 3rd or 4th. So my picks are now up there is 3-8, 10-2. You have the number 10, Radio Red.
Yep, Son of the Big Beast. I was told this horse could really run.
Okay, $10,000, Son of the Big Beast, a tip.
Really run.
Okay.
So I went there again. Not we had a Mendelssohn here from Todd Pletcher. The number 8 sounds spooky. Another first. Yeah, I wonder why. I almost texted David about this. The Linda Rice first must have been working well. 5-2 on the morning line for a barn that doesn't really win first time out. I didn't notice anything, eye-catching on the paperwork tab, but I wonder if David has.
Well, that's why people don't look at the paperwork
Yeah.
tags to bet. They look at workout reports, or they actually watch them on XP
I wonder what the
TV.
deal is. Do we know anything about this horse?
Well, I'll get there. Okay. Radio Red, I'll give some pedigree. The dam was on race, her first foal. The second dam was a good turf horse. Not good. Okay, though. Solid 80s. The Sound Spooky you mentioned, the Mendelssohn. I wonder if Mendelssohn's going to be a better turf sire as things go on. It'll be interesting. The Scat Daddy. This horse, there's dams on race, but the foals are interesting. They're Fast and Furious, who was a turf sprinter and fast, but also won in the dirt sprinting with speed at this meet. But also what's interesting is that horse is a sprinting speed horse, and as a half to Gambler's Fallacy, who was a Chad Brown horse originally, probably ended up in a lot of barns, that won his debut off the turf here going 1 1/8 miles and had less speed than you and I did.
Yes.
The second dam actually, I think, was okay. I didn't look it up that strongly, but that sounds spooky. As far as Linda's horse, there is some pedigree to speak of. I think the dam was a Todd Pletcher or Overstep. No, it was unraced, so it was apt to Overstep. Yes, I am assuming that there are good workouts reports on this horse. So the price David made this horse as well. And I scratched into this horse. I picked the race 1-3.
Okay.
I'm guessing I didn't have any tips on anybody here and any information, so I've got it 3, 8, 10, 2. Interestingly enough, now, while Radio Red was in yesterday's first race, I'm almost certain he was an MTO, whereas, you can look that up quite easily, whereas the 2, Nobilis, was actually entered on turf. So they're going to try dirt, but it's George Weaver, and it's closing day, and he's dangerous. It's mostly turf, though, with Nobilis. But they decided they wanted to run the horse on the dirt for whatever reason, and that may be a good sign.
Yeah. Might scratch out of the turf race. Well, enter into the dirt race knowing.
I have some text. Maybe David text. He did not.
Okay.
All right. So that's it for race 7, which also begins the last pick 6, mandatory payout. Race number 8, the late pick 5, also a mandatory payout in the late pick 5. This is a race that they should have called I Used to Be Somebody, because it's full of horses like Porthos, who's run well, Bal Harbour, who's run well in his prior career. I mean, Warstopper, who early in his career, when he won his second dirt race, I want to say, he looked like he was going to be an absolute monster with that race at Rudy. It's just funny. When he showed up, I'm like, how do I know this horse? I'm like, oh my gosh, this is that Rudy horse that ran that huge figure.
This really is like you would
almost.
almost think this was an invitation to.
Right, you have to. The only way to get into this race is you actually, at some point, were in a stake where people thought you were competitive. And that includes night ops. And we'll go back to over a year ago when he ran the Alydar here and not only ran second Art Collector, he looked like ran tremendous that day. I mean, Art Collector puts him away top of the stretch, and we'll get there eventually. Puts him away top of the stretch, and he just keeps fighting and coming after him. And Art Collector, who won the Woodward, won some big races, won the Charlestown Classic for the last 17 years in a row. I think he's actually the world's leading money earner that didn't go over the Middle East to get his money by running the Charlestown Classic and winning it every year. By the way, I think that should be a new category. Horses what purse earnings were that didn't get the inflated purse race in the Middle East and in the phony purses they gave out in the Pegasus as well. That would really change the entire landscape of how
fire it up,
would look, right? Am I wrong?
No.
Imagine how different it would look. They ever pay out that purse, by the way,
No.
from the Saudi Cup when?
Maximum security one? No.
I want to know if the connections of Midnight Bisou ever got first money. Because I got to tell you, that's not right.
Yeah.
Either Maximum Security got the winner's share or she got the winner's share. I'm lodging a complaint right now.
This guy's fired
Am
up
I
on
wrong?
closing day. No.
It's disgraceful, right? When was that?
Imagine if we were owed $5 million.
That was 2.5 years ago, right? I'd like to be owed $5 million, by the way. But that was 2.5 years ago.
2020. Before COVID. How about that?
Yeah.
How about that?
Yeah. Yeah. Still haven't been paid. COVID's around. They can pay. I just don't know what to do with this horse. Brad Cox.
We're on to race 8, guys. I put this horse on top reluctantly. Like you said, it's kind
had
of
him up earlier.
I know. Weird. It was kind of hard to really. I picked the horse who his decent form isn't that long ago. I know he had the long break and he didn't run
But the
too well last
problem is
time.
he has the 7-month break, and he comes back
Yeah.
and runs pathetically. And then he comes here and he runs for a tag on closing day. And let me add something else to it. They shipped him here from Ellis to get rid of him.
No question about it, and they
And-
probably will.
Well, they're certainly hoping to. They're certainly hoping to. And listen, I hope he
But
runs
I'm sure
well.
if you have a 6-year-old gelding, you can grab 50 and maybe win, grab the winner's share, run out of here with 90 dimes.
I understand all those things, but it's not exactly a positive with this horse.
No.
Though I got him
I don't
third. I'm
disagree.
not going to be shocked when he runs well. What's your Gentleman Joe thing? Rob Ascot's 5th win in the meet. You think he's heating up?
Isn't he just supposed to go from the rail? I mean, I know
He
American
is.
Tattoo's supposed to show
Well,
some
he's pretty
speed, but
quick. Pioneer Spirit came out. But
I'd
you
like,
got
to,
to
I'd like
imagine.
to see Gentleman Joe just blast off from the rail.
By the way, the 10 scratch in this race, in case I forgot to
That was
re-mention
that was the whole Gentleman Joe thing. David, I was always favored.
Oh, wow. Okay, well, I have him 5th. Who do I have on top here? I have the 5 War Stopper on top. The Cantermachi barn has been absolutely sensational off the claim, going back since we were at Belmont. And they're one barn that won at Belmont, and their horses ran well up here. They took a brutal beat here the other day. I forgot the horse. And I mean, this is a horse whose race at Keeneland 2 back was good. This horse ran a Zoomer who looked like, I mean, they ran him the Whitney off, and obviously it was an ambitious take a shot, but he ran well enough that it wasn't the most idiotic thing I've ever seen by far. I mean, he ran huge in there. I just thought he could be interesting off the claim for them and took him on top in this race. So I put him on top. I thought his price would be okay enough. And he's had
Be a
very,
decent enough price.
listen, I looked at the one. I'm not on show. I agree that horse should be forward. Air Attack, as far as Air Attack for Phil Bauer, he's 0 for 4 off the claim on the dirt. How about that? He just barely claimed. But, I mean, he didn't win the training title, but he had the best meet of anybody in the place.
Scary.
As far as how his horses ran.
Scary.
I mean, his horses ran super. Just unbelievable. I mean, if he didn't capture people's attention at this meet,
He
I
had
think
to
his
have.
performance here will get him owners, and it should get him owners.
Absolutely.
The guys' horses have just shown up
They
and
just
run
run. All of them
over
ran.
and over again. And I don't know him, but I saw him in the winner's circle. He seemed like a nice guy. I thought Portos wasn't impossible. I never got him 4th. You have him. I
Third,
mean,
yeah.
you go back. He has that good race at Keeneland. Maybe the cut back in distance will help him a little bit. The only problem is he ran well enough going longer, and he just was so bad last time. And this feels like Todd sort of had enough.
Remember when he broke his maiden
But
back in
he can't win.
2019? Got a bunch of texts. Belmont horse? Because he's a tap it, and he just won for fun that
Oh,
day.
it's right there,
Yeah,
yeah.
still there.
At 35 cents the dollar.
Scary.
84 buyer. He beat Cowtown.
Yep.
And even Bow Harbor, I know he was bad last time, but, I mean, he's got go-back races. And obviously, listen, by the way, we come in the day with Chad Brown 5 in front of Todd Pletcher, who's in 6 races. Chad Brown's a huge favorite, so it's very likely that Chad will win. It doesn't diminish the meet that either one of these guys had. I mean,
Not at all.
Chad Brown had his usual fabulous meet, and so did Todd Pletcher. Yeah. And, I mean, Todd's had some big wins in the meet as well.
Todd's been training 26 years. He's won 14 titles up here.
That's not bad. So
How about
let's
that?
see. So Chad Brown's won, I think, 4.
Right? Linda
Okay,
won
Linda
one.
won 1. Okay, so that's 19.
I would imagine
Bill Mott has
early
a winner
on.
or so in there. Yeah.
He won it in 07.
Yeah, I think he's got
And
one
he
or
probably
two.
won one in the 96, 97 range.
So who was winning? Yeah, right. Who was winning titles back? Because Todd probably didn't win his first title until 2000 or so, right? Something
Probably.
like that. I mean, he started training
Bill
in
Mott,
96.
you know, won
the
a
fact
couple
that he
of
might
ti-
have won his first title 4 years
You
into
know who
it.
won a couple of titles here,
Incredible.
too?
Who?
Or at least one? John Kimmel.
Wow, is that right?
Late 90s.
He used to win when
Him
first
and
time
Mott,
started.
him and
like
Mott
they were
went to
going
the
out of
him and
style.
Mott went to the wire. And
that
I'm
right?
pretty sure
I'm sure you're right. I
I'm
mean,
pretty sure John beat him. I want to say 98,
Richie would
99.
remember- Richie would remember that for
99
sure.
Mott won it. I'm pretty sure. With
Well, the interesting 99 was the year that Richie had broken his arm, and that's what Edgar Prado. That's what elevated Edgar
Correct.
Prado
Chief
to
Seattle
the career he
and-
had
yep.
because he rode for Kimmel because Richie was hurt.
Yep.
And really, it's not that Edgar Prado wouldn't have had a great career, but that's what really moved.
Chad's
him
won
into the
4
big
or
time.
5 titles.
Yeah, it's hard.
This
to
would be 5, right?
I don't know for sure. I don't. You pay more attention. I'm not that you know you, but that is amazing. I mean, Todd's won over half of the.
This is
titles.
his 26th
and
season.
It's not just
Yeah.
that. It's his 27th season. Because 96 was his first, so this would be his 27th.
Okay.
I'm not diminishing. I'm just saying. But I mean, When he started training at Gulfstream, he had 8 or 10 horses in
Yep.
'96. Now, he may have had more horses by the time he got to Saratoga, but he didn't have 50.
No.
So the idea that he may have won his first title,
Imagine coming here half your career and winning the training title.
more than half your career.
Right.
And
I'm
you
just
can't
saying.
possibly win it in the first 3 years, if not 4 or
Right.
more. I mean, how you're never gonna. I mean, nobody's gonna do that. So in reality, if you think you take them out, right? You take let's just take the first 5 out.
It's 14 for
Winning,
20.
he's winning basically 2/3 some version of when he had a chance to win. It's phenomenal.
Remarkable.
It is phenomenal, and I think it impresses. And it's not as though people don't realize who Todd Pletcher is. All you have to do is look at the Stallions in a 2-year-old race.
Of course.
But it does. I mean, this is the biggest meet in the country every year, and he has absolutely dominated it for the last quarter of a century. It's
Yes.
staggering. Race number 9, and this will be the last off the turf race, the Saratoga meet, the last on the turf race. We will be optimistic, and we will hope for turf. Some scratches. The 13 and 14 came out. The A's, the MTOs are still in. What'd you do here? Yeah, you copped out, didn't you?
Copped
We'll
out.
take a look at your pick. And he's nowhere to beat in here. Digital software, he's fine. He's just not that good. And he's Splendid Summer. And Splendid Summer got an unbelievable ride from your man, Pratt.
Took the
It was a great
exacta from
trip.
last time that I didn't bet because I'm an idiot. And, yeah, I just took them 1-2 again.
Yeah. He got a great ride from IRAD.
He did.
Got an absolutely perfect trip.
And Pratt
Everything
gave
right.
Pratt gave the 7,
Oh,
the 2 and
Pratt
he had a
gave
7, and he had Splendid
second
Summer, a
horse.
fantastic ride.
Tremendous ride.
Look what happens when you save ground. In any event, yeah, I just went back to those 2.
Yeah.
I did cop out here. I freely admit it.
I don't like the 7 at all.
I thought you had the right.
Miracle.
You probably have the right horse.
I think if you look at Valerio, there's an argument that this horse may have run against some better horses
Mm-hmm.
at different times. And obviously, claim from Mike Maker may not seem like an easy thing to do, but the reality is that Jose Cameo has been capturing a lot of people's attention
He has.
since he started running horses back at Belmont in the spring and summer. And he had that horse off the claim win here the other day. His horses are running. And this is a horse who at times has run races that would make him very tough in here. And for a trainer, off the train for a trainer whose horses are running. So I looked for an alternative because I wasn't enamored with the one. The one's fine, Digital. She's
He had no
obviously
chance
good.
last time from that draw with the wide trip.
And, and I'll say with Reckless Spirit is dangerous. Didn't have a huge ground losing trip, but the way that race was run, not just the rail.
It was going to be
slow
hard. It was going to be
pace.
hard for him to overcome
How
all
what
of it.
chance did this horse possibly have in there? So his race prior to it with a good trip, I thought was good enough. So 5s, 1s, and 2s for the most part. Sonic Speed is a horse that I should mention in here. I don't think we should. We could show Reckless Spirit, by the way, 2 races back or not show it. I don't care whatever the heck you guys want to do. This is Reckless Spirit's race 2 back when he finished second, beating a neck back at beautiful Belmont that we won't be seeing until basically May or the end of April.
Yeah.
A little sad. I mean, I love going to the Big A.
We get
You
to
and
go
I are
there. We
happy,
get to
but
go
we
there
love
afterwards.
Belmont. We love everything. We love all the racing in New
We
York.
do.
2 guys who have loved
I am a
racing.
little sad about no Belmont, but
I could go there for 3 weeks. I could stand the commute.
when we turn to each other on October 14th and we're nice and toasty at the Big A, we're not going to complain about anything.
It's there can be days not. If October's warm, we'll wish we were at Belmont.
Right.
Sonic Speed was stopped inside last time. That is absolutely factual. Problem is, he's Sonic Speed, who's a non-winner of 3 lifetime against these horses, and I don't know.
And I got to say something.
What?
This barn that does so well out of town, not impressed me up here.
Well, I think it's fair to say. I agree. Well, I wouldn't say it's just up here.
Underachieving.
I wouldn't say it's just here. This is a barn. Brittany Russell is no doubt. She's done a fabulous job down in Maryland. At a high
Fabulous.
percentage. But her shippers to New York have underperformed.
Take her New York numbers out, she might be close to 30%.
Her horses, that's very fair. And I'm sure she would know that, acknowledge that her horses have underperformed. But this horse did have legit trouble last time
Yes, she
out.
did.
But also had a very good trip in getting there, saving ground on the good rail. So trouble, but also some good things. As far as this race coming off of the turf, I picked the race 16, 10, 15, 11, 8.
16, 15, 3, 10 for me.
I just think Bold Victory would be better than these horses in here if he gets in. He's run against better horses. Race would be a mile and an eighth.
The MTOs seem to
Mile
have
and
a
eighth
decided.
horses.
I thought that the MTOs
Well,
had
I
an
think that I Am the
advantage.
Law has a chance in here. I'm not a big fan of Corkman.
Okay.
He's okay, and it's not like we're seeing anything special from this barn. So I went 16-10. And we'll see if inflation adjusted would run. Linda would leave that horse in. And even Mesita for Bill Morey. Race number 10. We will not be off the turf in races 10, 11, or 12 because we're on the dirt. And race number 10 is clean, by the way. It's an interesting race. So we'll start out with a horse who I'm guessing David has favored in Shalimar Gardens. This
The
is the race
slight 3 to 1
back,
favorite, yes.
And she obviously wasn't beating search results. Now, this field she ran against was massively overmatched. And I think one thing that's important with this filly is when she's won, here are the prices she's been in her 3 wins. 35 cents the dollar, 25 cents the dollar, and 45 cents the dollar. So she has never really won a competitive race. And while she's run well in those races, and she could certainly win, and she handles a wet track if we get more, a ton of rain, this is a significantly more competitive race than she's ever won in. I'm not saying that she's not good enough to beat them, but where's her big edge over these?
None. I don't think she has one. She has too many clunkers in there.
So we'll show the August 7th, 8th race, and you'll tell us why you like Big City Mama.
I just thought she needed the race off the 10 months, rather, not 2 months, 10 months.
Well, she ran the best race she's ever run, so saying she needed the race seems a little bit hard to back up. You might say she's improved, because she obviously had, but if she needed the race, then she'll run a 90 buyer here, which is completely incongruous by miles to what she's ever run. Now, I'm not saying she can't win with her 79 buyer, but I don't think it's fair to say she needed a race, Anthony, because she ran far and away the best race she ever ran.
More important than that, I thought she was just gobbling up ground late in the game here. I wasn't that fast a pace.
It was coming apart a bit. She ran. I don't like her, but she did run last time.
It was so much better than anything she had done so far in her career that I'm just hoping she's turned the corner. She's going to be a big price. The people are going to see the Shalimar Gardens just pummeled her last year at Belmont in September. So I'm just hoping that she's a big price. And it's a spread race for me. I had a tough time with this race, but I took a look at her, and I liked her effort last time. So when I saw David had her a similar price to what she was last time, I figured I'd give her one more shot.
Okay. I much prefer Wicked Hot out of that race, who was forward there and I think ran very well. I don't particularly like either one of them, but I think of the two, I would take Wicked Hot. I've gone in a different direction in this race. I think it should be noted that Mashney Girl could be loose here, and I know she disappointed last time, but she has run her better races going longer, and one of her races is a win over the favorite. And I don't think it's impossible that Mashney Girl wires this field. I really don't.
Okay.
I think Johnny from the outside, a post that's worked well on these mile races, but I went to the inside with Cocktail Moments, and I'm not hugely confident. Listen, for all I don't know. Maybe there's not going to be a non-winners of one at Churchill in that first the 3-week meet they're running up. But that seems a little hard to believe. But there won't be a non-winners of one at Churchill. Yet Kenny McPeak has left this horse here to run in this race. He wants to run in this race. And I understand she's dressed up by the competition, but she did run second in the Ashland. She did run against Kathleen O and not exactly embarrass herself. She's run against some very good horses. And the other thing is, she was a terrible bet at 4 to 5 last time. And we did this race, and both Greg Wolf and I were on TV, and both of us were saying, this is a horse that should not be 4 to 5. We didn't say she shouldn't be 5 to 2.
Right.
We said she shouldn't be 4 to 5. And that race kind of got away from her a little bit. And you know what? She's good enough to beat these horses, and she's going to be in the 4 to 6 to 1 range today. And it is a tough race. I don't disagree with you. Listen, Lenlow Lady ran well for Dale last time. Probably has to improve to win, but she didn't run not that much. Jane Gray's stretching out for Mott. Mott doesn't have great numbers stretching out. She's not untalented and possible. You got her second. I think that you're overstepping a little bit with her actual chances, but she's certainly not impossible in this race. The problem is she's never really run very well. Florent Giroux, by his way, is on Mashney Girl. Thank you, Steve. I mean, I think there's a lot going on in here, but I'm going to go 1 5s and 10s in here. But I'm going to take a shot with the 1 Cocktail Moments.
Okay.
Race number 11 is the Hopeful. And while Western Gent may be my favorite horse of the meet, with a miracle win, fortunately, neither of my table mates were videotaping me when I was watching the race, but they made fun of me. I don't know if they told you how much they made fun of me for that. It was just so incredible this horse came back.
Looked like it was going to be fifth turning foam.
Right, and then I thought at the 16th, the eighth,
Think it's somebody
pole,
else.
I'm like,
You can't
I might
imagine
actually
that's
get
her.
second
Yeah.
here. She may hold on for second. I can hit the exacta, and then she came back. But I don't think she's winning here. So
I don't think he's winning here either.
So we'll start with Mo Strike, and I'm going to call him Fort because that's actually the pronunciation. And I was watching a TV show where this debate came up, and the TV show correctly used Fort to make the point, obviously. So no knock on Mo Strike. I've got them 1-2. This horse has been terrific. Ran this race. I didn't tell you something. I was very impressed with Fort's debut. I just thought that 7-5 in this field was taking the worst of it, and that's why I picked against him in that day, and it worked out. But the thing is, he's not going to be 7-5 today, and it's not so different from my pick in the 10th, where you're going to get a much better price. And I am not in the huge kickback camp of some others that I know and respect. And I'm not saying they're wrong. I just have slightly. I think it's sometimes overused, but I do think it's fair to say that as the meet began here, the kickback was pretty extreme. And this horse got quite an education taking dirt behind horses and didn't really run into the late stages. Now he's going to be a better price in here. His debut was extremely good. Tom Pletcher's, this is the kind of horse you wouldn't be surprised you didn't see him in here, some issue. He's going to run better today. I like Fort, and I like him quite a bit today.
Okay. I have no arguments here. Yeah. I thought it was. I'm not going to put words in your mouth, but like you, I'm assuming you want to play the race around Gulfport being out of the.
I don't like Gulfport at all.
I don't either.
He's
your 9 to 5 morning line favorite.
We'll discuss him. We'll get to his race in a little while, but I'm with you.
I took the other three that I liked, and I put the horse that I would.
Well, here's Blazing Sevens,
think is going to
beating
be the
Bourbon
biggest
Bash,
price on
who
top.
came back. And listen, you could say Bourbon Bash legitimized the race. You could also say that maybe he improved from there, and I think Jose Ortiz is on Bourbon Bash.
He clobbered those horses last time Bourbon Bash did.
He did.
And Blazing
Sevens
Sevens
won
clobbered
too.
him.
No, I'm not going to disagree.
So, I don't love Bourbon Bash today because I don't know he's going to get the choice setup that he got last time, just getting loose on the lead. But yeah, I liked everything I saw from Blazing Sevens. You kind of figured the Hopeful was going to be where you'd see him next.
Of course.
And now you're actually going to get there, and he's going to be a price. He's going to be a square enough price.
I don't agree with David.
Really? You think he's a shorter price than Fort?
It's a Chad Brown horse that ran an 85 Beyer first time out, won by 6 lengths, beat a horse that came back and ran 12 Beyer points faster and won by 8 lengths. No, I don't agree with this morning line. David is as sharp, and maybe this horse isn't working well or something, and maybe that has something to do with it. But I don't understand how this horse is 4-1. I don't understand it. This horse has the second fastest Beyer in the field. He's trained by Chad Brown. He drew a perfect outside post. I love and respect David, and he's probably ended up being right. If this horse is 4-1, I'm missing something. I thought this horse would buy for favoritism in here.
Well,
now, obviously, David feels very strongly I'm wrong about that. I was shocked to see he had Gulfport the favorite, because I don't think Gulfport has a prayer in here. And Steve Aspinall's made me look stupid, as he has many, many times. But I don't like that horse at all.
I'm assuming he's just thinking stakes faced as opposed to debut winner. I don't know. Maybe you're right.
I don't know, man. I don't know, man.
I guess him and Ford will be similar prices. He made them a point different. I could see them both being the same price. The horse who's really like kind of the Rodney Dangerfield in here is Mo Strike, right? Kind of you're not hearing anybody. I haven't heard one person say a word about it. Of course.
So as far as Gulfport, I understand that Joe Rosario does deserve some criticism for his ride in the good filly the other day. I don't think he deserves as much as he got. But I also think Joel is a fabulous rider. Maybe I'm a little biased. Criticizing him here is just the silliest thing I've ever heard in my life. He didn't have the horse, and he got caught in the... Richie talked about this beforehand. The one was going to bear out as he did in his debut. He just got... It happened at the most...
Wrong place, wrong time.
He was... As the horse started bearing out, the other horse was blowing by him. Would he have lost by 2.5 lengths in here if that had happened? Maybe. But anybody that thinks he was winning this race, if that didn't happen, is out of their minds. This other horse was clearly in the process of literally blowing by him. And as you recall, I told you before the race I thought this horse was the better horse. I'm not sure that Gulfport is nearly as good as his 91 Beyer suggests. I'm not a big fan of this horse. If this horse wins, I lose. I don't want him any part of this horse.
Yeah.
The only thing I'll say is Steve Aston won this race with Gunite, who didn't look that good coming into it last year, and we have seen him have these horses run better, certainly than I think sometimes. And he's a fabulous trainer.
For 3 in a row.
But I am not a fan. Is he who?
Jackie's Warrior.
Oh, Jack.
Going for 3 in a row. Wow, that just dawned on me, actually.
Well, I mean, you know,
It's pretty impressive.
he's had a pretty good meet. I mean, he's winning with over a quarter of his
I'm
starters.
talking about the fact that he's looking for 3 hopefuls in a row and
I
he's
think
9 to 5 morning line
I think
favorite
it's
to
also
do so.
interesting. He has run 2 exceptional 2-year-olds, as far as the best colt maiden breaker and one of the better filly maiden breakers the very next day. That horse that won. He has not, however, won 8 2-year. Like he's had years where he won with didn't he last year?
COVID 2020 or last year won like 7
or
or 8.
both, maybe.
7 of them.
Yeah, I mean he had crazy good years, and this year it hasn't been a boatload of 2-year-olds winning for him.
2 years ago, it was definitely 2 years. 2 years ago, he won with like 8 first-time starters up here. I was getting good information and making some money with the 2-year-olds that year. They had that Cazadero paid like $10. He had some horses that just didn't pan out, but he won with a lot of firsters in that like $8 to $12 range.
Now I'm really interested to see what the prices are in here because I'm surprised by this line, and David's the best. So if David thinks it's these lines, who am I to argue with him? He's right a lot more than I am.
The finale, Andy.
Race number 12. Cupid's Heart's back. I saw Jay. He's excited for him. Working very well. We'll take a look at her first race. We'll take a look at the start and the finish. She ran very well in her first start. Probably not thrilled they drew the rail.
No. For the first start in almost 10 months, probably not. And yeah, she was good in her maiden race. Obviously, something went amiss in the key sense, where she got beat by the streaking Classy Edition. And now, again, 10.5 months, we don't see her. He had a great filly, just blowing by the horse on the lead. She's a nice filly.
Yeah, she's good.
She's
Gets
a nice
Lasix
filly.
for the first time. You can't run Lasix as 2-year-olds. We'll go right to the replay as soon as you guys are ready of Sue Ellen Mishkin.
We're going to the Lakes?
Well, I can't. No, we're going to go to her debut here, actually,
okay.
last year.
Here she is.
And obviously things went wrong, but her last race suggests that things went right. And I'll tell you something about her last race at Finger Lakes. That was not a speed track. I looked that race up and I thought maybe she just got ran off in a big speed track. She didn't, Anthony. This was not a big speed track last time.
I'm going to tell you what my problem might be with her, and you might poo-poo this, but you look at her 2 races on
You don't
fast.
like Seinfeld.
You look at her 2 races on fast tracks, and you look at her 2 races on wet tracks in the turf race, and she just might not want any part of that. And that was the spin away and the maiden
I don't believe in
missed.
that stuff.
Okay. Well, she's got beaten a combined 80 lengths on anything other than a fast track.
I don't believe in that stuff.
All right.
And you do, and I don't.
Okay.
Okay. I picked her second. The Cupid Heart's third. We both took the same horse on top. We'll look at Rebo's Valentine Breaker Maiden and have at it.
Ran into a horse who kind of does like a wet track in Lilu first time. She ran well enough. Then she came back and got the job done less than a month later. She had a
Here's Rebo's Valentine's Maiden.
She had a throat abscess. I know this because I tried to buy her. She had a throat abscess, and
I tried to buy her too. I was a
one
couple 100,000 short.
One thing led to another. Wasn't that much. One thing led to another.
Whatever it was, I was short.
Now it's September 5th. So that troubles me because I have not followed along on the story arc. Ordinary work tab on paper at the very least for an ordinary guy in Ray Handel, so they kind of go hand in hand. All kidding aside, I mean, she was really good when she broke her maiden. This was a nice effort.
Oh, I don't disagree.
Yeah,
That was
early
a
in the
very,
year,
very legitimate
looked like
race.
she was going to be okay, and now we don't see her for 8 months. So I wanted to give her a shot, a little bit of a price to close things out.
Yeah, I don't know how great a price she'll be, but I like her too. Think she ran well that day. Respect the others in here. Who? Oh, was somebody scratched going to take money in here? What was the morning line here?
Liberty Flame would have taken some money. I think Liberty Flame might have been the favorite.
Really?
Yeah.
Jeez, I'm really sorry.
Nope,
she scratched.
incorrect.
She had no
15 to 1.
chance. She
My
had no
bad.
chance.
Different. No, everybody's 15, 20, and 30, and 10. So nobody. No.
Oh wow.
So Cupid's Heart was the morning line favorite. Is the morning line favorite?
in Michigan.
Yeah.
Oh, I hope they've got fancy feline again. Oof. Oof. All right, that's it. That is it. That's the 12 race card. We're almost done. Johnny and I will be up with a reprise of the scratches and changes.
Good job this meet,
and
sir.
things. Thank you very much.
I stunk the place up, and you did a fantastic job carrying the. Well, the load's not as big as it used to be, but it was still a Good. Well, listen, if we're going to come up here, and I'm the most boisterous person in the world, you're going to come up here and admit when you had a good meet and applaud yourself. I got my clock cleaned up here, but you did a really, really good job, and thanks for
Thanks.
carrying things along up here. Hopefully we didn't. Hopefully the people I buried, you kind of resurrected them a little bit when they realized that it was Stabile off was the best move they could possibly find this meet.
Yeah, I've said
You
it.
found some real good prices and some real clever opinions.
I appreciate that. And I've said it here, and I've said it before, and I'll say it again. There's a misnomer. People say to me, people are so mean to you. They see these idiots on Twitter who, I feel sorry for them. It's just not true. People are unbelievably nice to me, both on social media for the most part, and in person.
Except Tom Amoss.
Not even for the most part, 100% of the time. And it means a lot to me, and I appreciate it. And, people can say what they want. We are paid, every one of us here, every one of us at NYRA is paid by you. If you guys aren't betting your money, there's no game. And yes, you need owners to buy the horses, but you need bettors to bet on them. And without bettors, there's no game. And so working for you is an honor and a pleasure, and I appreciate the support. But I give it because you have to give it. You have to give 100%, but also because you deserve it. You pay me. You're my bosses. You pay me. So I appreciate everything, and we appreciate everything you do for us. And Saratoga is a magical place. And while it's closing on sort of a glum day, and in some ways makes it easier to leave, it'll be a magical place when we get back here in July of next year, and it'll remain that way. So thank you to everybody that's come here, that's made this another record-setting summer, but also that's been so kind to all of us here at NYRA. And I've heard universally the people I work with how nice everybody is, and we appreciate it because you deserve any good thing we do. You deserve it.
When people ask what makes Saratoga so special, it's you guys. I mean, there's no real, right? The racing's great and everything, but we run races 220 days, 220 days a year, 180 outside of here, and it's completely different when you walk in here, when you walk out of here. It's just a completely different place. So, like Andy said, we thank you for that.
All right. That's it. Johnny and I will be up. I'd say it's a reprise of Scratch and Changes, but it's not.
Well, it's a reprise of your scratches and changes.
You'll get them, but also the jockey changes as well. Enjoy the last day at Saratoga, and we will see you from the Big A. In fact, Belmont at the Big A a week from Thursday, the 15th. Enjoy closing day at Saratoga. We'll miss you, but we'll see you soon.
For almost 150 years, the Saratoga name has been synonymous with the finest quality, sustainably sourced spring water available anywhere. Saratoga carries on the rich tradition of its forefathers by crafting each stunning blue glass bottle with the same attention to detail and care that has been its hallmark for generations. Visit SaratogaSpringwater.com today or ask for us by name at your local market or restaurant. Saratoga Spring Water. Make every day exquisite.
Ladies and gentlemen, to honor America, please stand for our national anthem.